Hello, and welcome back to the Happiness Hangout podcast, where we talk all things happiness, mindset shifts, and things I wish I could tell my younger self. My name is Katie. I am a certified life coach, content creator, and someone who is always trying to grow and learn as much as possible. So last episode, we talked about how to stop waiting and just go for it. But in this episode, I wanted us to talk about 4 things that could still be getting in the way of you going for your dreams, sabotaging your happiness, etc. And I have felt the frustration of just not being where I want to be, feeling like things weren't working out for me, feeling lost. So today I just wanted to go over 4 common roadblocks that could be sabotaging your dreams and just how to overcome it. I have been at places where I have felt so stuck in my life, was confused why I felt like I was doing the work, but things weren't coming my way. And realizing these 4 things and learning to overcome them has been such a huge shift in my life. And I have seen so much more flow since I started working through them. So let's get into them. The first one is self-limiting beliefs. And I feel like I talk about this a lot, but this is when you just don't feel like you are worthy of getting there. You don't believe in yourself. Maybe you're feeling imposter syndrome. And I have felt this so much throughout my life too. I didn't feel like I was good enough to go for the things that I wanted. I didn't feel pretty enough. I didn't feel smart enough. But my whole life changed when I learned that I get to define what I am, and my self-limiting beliefs aren't a reality. And so it is so easy to fall into these self-limiting beliefs and be like, this is the truth. This is how I feel. And of course, sometimes I still fall into this. I'll still compare myself. I'll still have these self-limiting beliefs, but being aware of them has been so helpful. And if you really think about it, when we are so young, we really don't have any of these self-limiting beliefs. Like, we are so free. We feel so capable of doing the things that we want to do. And as we get older, we take on all of these beliefs. We get told we have to be a certain way, look a certain way, can't do certain things. And we take on other people's beliefs, and we take our own power within us away from ourselves when we do this. And so our self-limiting beliefs can be so tough to overcome because we truly think they are reality, but let's go over how to overcome them. And so the first part of it is just, again, realizing that you create your own beliefs and they are not always reality. And most of the time, they are not reality at all. Again, these are just things that you once were told, things you once just thought and you kept telling yourself. And then eventually that begins to become a belief. So start to take into account what your self-limiting beliefs are. Obviously, this is easier said than done. But anytime you hear yourself putting yourself down, telling yourself you can't do something, hearing yourself say you're not good enough for something, realize those are your self-limiting beliefs. And when you hear that, that is the time to start challenging that and getting to the core of it. And so the next part of that is writing out this new concept of yourself. How do you want to see yourself? What do you want to believe about yourself? Who is this highest version of yourself? How do they act? What do they do in their day-to-day life? And how do you start showing up as that person? How does that person think? What do they do? Again, I really think about it often how tainted the view of ourselves we have is, whereas other people probably see us from this third-person perspective and see so much more light in us than we see in ourselves. And I know I personally am someone who is so hard on myself, and in the past have constantly just heard myself, again, saying things like, I'm not good enough to go for that. I'm not good enough to start doing that. I'm not worthy enough for that. Like, I can't start doing XYZ things. I'm not good enough at it. But catching yourselves when you are saying that is such a big thing, and being able to catch it and then write a challenging affirmation of it has been so helpful for me. And then putting that affirmation somewhere that you can look at daily. So these affirmations can be things like, I am worthy of the job that I desire. I am good enough. I'm worthy of the love that I desire. I'm great at doing X, Y, and Z thing. So rewrite this concept of yourself in affirmations. Read these dailies. write them down, put them somewhere that you can see them all the time. And the more that you tell yourselves these things, the more you're going to believe it, because our brains are constantly changing and adapting based on experiences and thoughts, and continuously saying these positive statements and saying new things to yourself. By doing that, you are able to change the way that you think and rewire your brain and build these new neural pathways. And I know at first it is hard and you might not believe it, but the more that you say it, the more you'll be able to believe it. Now, the second roadblock is giving more power to your fear than your dreams. And when you are putting more of an emphasis on your fears than your dreams. So maybe it is caring more about what other people think than what you think of what you want to be doing. Maybe it is being scared of taking that risk because of what could go wrong. And people pleasing, I think, is the biggest one that many of us run into, because we want to fit in. We want to fit in. I literally don't know why I can't talk. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. And it is so normal. We want people to like us, but your dreams need to be more important than your fears. And it is also realizing that by you being who you are, you will attract the right people. You going for it will attract the right people. The right people will want to work with you. The right people will want to be around you. And you truly have to believe that, because you have a special gift within you. You are so powerful within you, and you need to feed into those dreams. So overcoming it. First things first, what are your fears? What are you afraid could go wrong? What are you afraid people will think? And this is a time for you to have a very honest conversation about yourself, with yourself about this, because it is not easy to be honest with yourself about what you are afraid of. And just being super honest with yourself about, oh, I'm afraid that people are going to think this thing about me. I'm afraid that if I go for this thing, then X, Y, and Z thing in my life can change. And that kind of seems scary. So also realizing that many of these fears that have to do with others, they're usually what you are scared to think of yourself. And that is kind of a crazy realization that I had, because when I was posting on social media and oh my God, this is so cringe. That was what I thought of myself, rather than what, maybe other people will think of that. But it really is being no, I have all this love for myself, and I know that it is a little scary for me to be going for this. But again, my dreams and the impact that I could have is more important than these fears. So the next part of it too is just thinking of your dream life and the excitement, what it looks like, what is there. Visualize this success and really, really feel it, what it looks like, what it feels like, what you hear, what you see. And anytime you feel that little fear creep in, remember this and remember your why. Why do you want to be doing this? What are you going to be gaining from going for your dreams, from really going for that happiness? How will this impact the other people in your life? And remember, your why will always give you the extra push. Also, something that has really helped me too is just taking the emphasis off of myself. So again, when I first started posting on social media, I was definitely a lot more self-conscious. What would people think of me? What if they think this is cringe? What if I get hate? But by taking away the emphasis off myself and seeing how I'm doing it to serve others has been such a big change for me, because it reminds me that it really just isn't about me at all. Everyone is living in their own reality. So one, even if their negativity is a reflection of them, first off, sorry, that got confusing. One, their negativity is a reflection of themselves. And even if they are going to be giving that negativity, commenting negativity, being wow, Katie's so cringe, that doesn't have to do with me. That is just a projection of what they feel and how they feel about themselves. But two, I remembered why I was doing what I was doing and how this was going to help others, how this was serving others, and being okay, even if this could help one person, then that would be worth the risk. That would be worth getting that negative comment. That would be worth someone thinking that thing about me. Another part of it too is just embracing imperfection, because perfection just fuels fear. But when we realize that there is no such thing as perfect and put more of an emphasis on progress, that is when things will change. I was also reading this book today by Jen Sincero, and she was talking about fear and just also saying that fear isn't a bad thing. Like, it's important to just see fear as a motivating factor and being like, you know what, like fear is actually good. And sometimes feeling that fear means that you're on the right track. And another question she got to as part of it was like, what if it isn't? Like, how do you know when the fear is good and when the fear is bad? And the truth is sometimes you just won't, but there is also this other side of you that gets past that fear, that gets past your comfort zone and realizes that you needed to feel that fear and go for it anyways. And I really talked a lot about that in my last podcast of just like feeling the fear and going for it anyways. But like, I think again, just realizing that your dreams are so much more important than your fear has been such a big important factor for me to just like get to reach this point of happiness that I'm feeling right now and really be going for my dreams. The next roadblock that I think really relates to fear too is the comfort zone trap. Because this is like the familiar territory of your thoughts, your behaviors and routines that it just feels safe to us. It feels predictable, and our comfort zone feels great to us because it just provides the sense of security. It reduces stress and allows us to feel like we know the outcome. And it just feels good when we know the outcome. Like, it's not exciting, but it's, oh, this just feels nice because I know what's going to happen. I'm just cruising along. Like, this is just the base. And biologically, we want to feel safe. But because of our comfort zones, we end up feeling stagnant. We like miss opportunities. We have less motivations and we're just not reaching our full potential. But to get to things that you have never gotten before, you have to do things you've never done before. Again, my favorite quote, nothing changes if nothing changes. So overcoming it is really first off creating a growth mindset. So realize you either get what you want out of this situation or you grow. And you are here on this planet to grow, to learn, to become a better version of yourself and to fully live. And I'm not saying you need to just like automatically go for these big things. Take that huge jump out of your comfort zone right away, but take small steps. You don't need to do the biggest, scariest thing right away, but just take that little baby step. And those little baby steps eventually become this huge step. And remember what is on the other side of your comfort zone, your dream life. Again, your dreams need to be more important than your fears here. And it really is so exciting and rewarding when you get out of your comfort zone. So like, think of the times that you got out of your comfort zone and it was so worth it and you came on the other side having gotten what you wanted. I think about so many things in my life that I was so afraid to do. And I was like, wait, this is so scary. I'm afraid to go to this event alone. I'm afraid to talk to this person. But once I did it, I felt like so good inside. And I was like, wait, it felt so good to get out of my comfort zone. And it is so crazy to think about all the things that we used to be so scared to do and are now in our comfort zones. Like, a younger version of me, even 3 years ago, was actually terrified of going to coffee shops alone and sitting there and doing work. And if you were close to me, you know this because I feel like I talked so much to my sister about this, of just being like, I'm scared to go to a coffee shop alone. Like, I don't know why I felt this fear. And I look back and I find it so silly because I was at this point where I was working from home. It was so tough on my mental health. I just wasn't as productive as I wanted to be. And I knew that just like leaving the house, going and getting coffee and sitting alone and doing work was going to be this huge change for me. But it was so much easier for me to stay in my comfort zone and let that fear grow in my head. And it's just so funny looking back at that because I'm like, wait, why was I so afraid of doing that? But every single thing you were once afraid of doing for the first, like you were once afraid of doing it and then you had to do it for the first time and then you got over it. So realize you only need to get out of your comfort zone once or like maybe a couple times before it will be in your comfort zone. And eventually you look back and you're like, whoa, I have grown so much and I've gotten out of my comfort zone. And it just feels like so good knowing that and knowing that you are growing. And celebrate your progress when you get out of your comfort zone. Like, baby steps are still steps, and plan things to celebrate that and realize that those baby steps really do make the big impact. The last roadblock is when you don't have a clear strategy or plan. So this is lack of direction. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what steps to make. And when we are in this place, it is so easy to stay complacent and not have a plan. But if you want to reach a new goal, you have to create a plan to get there. And I talk about this a lot in my last episode too, of just like, you can't wait for the motivation to hit. Sometimes you just have to go for it and know that the motivation will hit when the time is right. And I know a lot of the times, even like I'm like, when I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, I don't know what the next step is, I feel so frustrated. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't even know what the first thing to do is. But as soon as I create some sort of plan, it doesn't need to be like the ultimate plan, but just the next step. I do my research, I try something new. That is when things just end up falling into better place, and it just feels a lot more paved for me. So when you don't have a plan too, you end up wasting time and energy because you're just probably going in circles with other things. You're missing opportunities, and then you end up feeling discouraged because you're like, wait, all this time has passed and I've like done things that probably weren't the right like way that I wanted to be going. And then you end up in this cycle of just feeling bad about it. And you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? But when you create that plan, you end up getting into that, again, state of flow. So overcoming it is, first off, setting SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals. And make these goals things that you actually believe that you are able to achieve. And once you have these goals, break your goals down into smaller steps, set deadlines, and remember that you don't have to do it all alone. You are allowed to ask for help. I used to feel like I wanted to get things all done by myself. Like I was like, I don't need to ask for help. I can do this. I wanted to find all the answers within myself. I thought it would be more rewarding if I just figured it out by myself, but it isn't realistic. And everyone asks for help, and even the most successful people ask for help. So be open to asking for help. This is whether you're looking for like a big goal, or maybe you just are not at a place of happiness and you're not sure how to get there. Like there are other people who've achieved these things, these other roadblocks. Ask them for help. Read books. There is so much power in asking for help. And others were once where you wanted to be. So like read the books, invest in yourself, and then think about resources, both internal and external, that you have too. Because like so many of the times we are not tapping into all of the resources that we have that can help us get there. So again, do your research, read books, find a mentor, whatever it is that you need to do to get there. And remember that it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. There's actually so much power in it. The next part of this too is just being flexible and adaptable. Like life throws curveballs at you and things change, and not everything is going to go according to this big plan that you wrote. And know that just because things change or things don't feel like they're going according to your plan does not mean that they're not still working out for you. So the amount of things that didn't feel like they were going according to my bigger plan but ended up working out for me is more than I could imagine. And it's really, really crazy because I think I've always just been such a big planner. I like having this plan or being like, okay, these things are going to work out a certain way. But I look back at my life in the course of my life and how so many things that didn't go according to my plan, or the things that I thought is how my life would turn out, ended up working out so much more in my favor. And of course, it's easy to look back and think, wow, I regret going for that thing. I regret talking to that person. I regret that happening in my life. But it's like, you truly do need everything that happens in your life to get to where you're meant to go. And it's okay if things don't go according to plan, because you have no idea how they are actually working out for you. And sometimes you just have to surrender and say, okay, this is what is in my control. These are the things that I can do, and this is what I can do right now, and this is the energy I can focus on. Ending this episode off, I want to say that you are fully capable of creating the life of your dreams and getting to the place that you want to be. You are the biggest thing in your own way. So do the inner work. Be honest with yourself and realize how powerful you are and the power that you hold within you. Your biggest limit is yourself. We all have this light within us, And it is so important to allow yourself to tap into that and allow yourself to go after the life you desire, and know that you deserve it. Know that you are worthy. You have these desires, you have these dreams for a reason, and you are here for a purpose. You are more than worthy and enough of the things that you desire. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave a 5-star review, and I am sending you so much love, and we will talk in the next episode.